All right, 35 free to play is a little bit of a stretch right now, but obviously that's the kind of thing that will change with time. And one thing I like is that inherently the game is about competing with yourself. Sure, you have PvP and stuff, but in the end, like the main mode, what you see when you open the main screen of the game is campaign. And there you could compete with other people, but essentially you compete with yourself about knowing the game better, improving, getting access to more heroes, optimizing things. So the better you're at that, like the better you'll be at the game. And that thing is near endless because like the amount of sheer synergies and stuff, I still have a lot to learn. Like sometimes somebody came up to me, like when I first discovered Lucretia and Five-Pole, I was like, oh my goodness, okay, is that the thing? And then I was talking with A&B and he says, no, I don't do Lucretia, I do Flora and Five-Pole. I'm like, what do you do Flora and Five-Pole? And the man keeps on explaining to me about the shields, to castles. So like from a strategic endpoint, you can just learn virtually forever. And if that's what you have fun doing, if you have fun competing with yourself, then the game's appeal is insane. But that's what we were talking earlier about, like the one guy who said to me, yeah, it's about dumping money into the game. And the more you dump, the more you win. At that point, I had a hard argument like with him. Like if he says he'd rather play chess, I mean, at that point, I don't have much I can even say.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was the other game you were playing?
I stopped playing it pretty soon after. I just was looking for a new mobile game to start playing. It was called Archero. It was kind of like a dungeon crawler type of thing, I guess. Like every couple of floors you get a new ability and you just push to the highest floor you can get. And like the more, and then like at the end of your run, you get like experience and then you can like use that experience to level your dude up or like give him better equipment. And then you can just keep pushing. But like that game got like obnoxious. And that's coming from me in AFKArena. Like they kept introducing features where like, you would just die on floor 1 unless you were like maxed out everything, and it was like you couldn't play the game at that point. So everyone stopped playing it. I'm actually gonna write like a constructed almost essay on the Reddit because I'm just so fucking sick and tired of people complaining about how like AFKArena and the Lilith is going so much pay to play, and like you've clearly never played any mobile game ever if you feel that way, you know, like.
Yeah, but then the dimensional part is a little bit rough. I hear you because there's plenty of games where there's just no mode where you can do virtually anything. Think the stamina ones. All right, any stamina system that's pay to play is way gross, I think, than AFKArena. But recently they got a little greedy. If you look at some of the dimensional exchanges, where at the start you had no way as FTP to get them, so virtually there was no way for you to compete. That was a little gross. That was a step in the wrong direction. But I hear you how like AFKArena is a little less greedy, where you could like even low spend. You have low spenders in chapter 34, 35 right now. They're not 38, but they are 35, and they can get to LC, even if they can't win it. So, yeah. And you see yours truly. Then there's yours truly who's competing with whales. So like it's possible to even do it at some certain levels of low investment. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get the argument, and the dimensional thing I think is so like my stance on the dimensional thing is it's a crossover. Not only that, it is so not necessary. Like you look at endgame comps. Tell me who's using Ukyo. Tell me who's using a Naka carry. Tell me who's like. You can obviously make a case for Ainz and like pretty much Albedo because she gets used with him a lot. But like even Ezio doesn't really see that much like meta usage. Like he sees some niche where he plays a good cleanup crew sometimes. But everyone else is kind of just like an option. You'd be much better to max out Iran, max out Damon, max out Farah. Like you don't need to spend 15. You don't need to spend $15 to get some hero that like you might not even use. Like people just play this game like it's Pokemon. You gotta catch them all. You really don't. Like, you're totally fine.
I hear you.
Yeah, like exchange, you can. The option, it sucks having to lose out on all of your lab coins and all of your like challenger coins and everything, but you can get it free to play. You just don't have to. Like, and that's the only case that free to play players can make because everything else this game is so FTP friendly. Like compared to every other game. I played a lot.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. That's a hot take. I hear where you're coming from, though. Also, the way they fund themselves, like they give you complete access to the game. It's not DLC oriented. You don't have like the grind. It's long, but it's not like Idle Heroes long. I don't know if you've ever played that. Like,
Yes.
I talked to, I think it was Riptide the other day or somebody, and they were telling me, yo, the grind in Idle Heroes is something else. Was it you actually that I talked to about that?
It wasn't me, but there are a couple of people in my current guild that either came from Idle Heroes or like still have Idle Heroes but don't play it as much. That said, like they started. I don't know anything. I don't know the terminology exactly, but he said there became these like exclusive artifacts that you had to pay thousands of dollars to max, otherwise you could never get them again. And they would like AFK's only. So like not only was Ukyo the only pay to access hero ever, but he was bad, and it was only $50, not thousands of dollars. Like, I was into this one, like, this is one of many, many, many examples I could have, but this one game I was into, Final Fantasy Dissidia.
Oh, I love it.
The mobile. Yeah, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, so I wanted to simp for that game. And they would do this shit where, like, you, like a hero would come out and you have to pull for their signature weapon, and it's total gotcha. Like, even if you're pulling on the banner with that weapon, you have like a 0.01% chance of pulling the weapon. And like and it's only for like 2 weeks. Like you have like a week or two to summon for it, and it's like the summon rates of the weapon are like ridiculously low. And even if you do have the chance of like pulling it, like think pulling a Stargazer hero in AFK, even if you pull it, there's a pretty high chance that it won't be what you got, like what you requested. So like imagine you're gazing for Lucretia and you just pull Belinda. Like that's what it was like. Like the game just boned you. And I was like, this character is like one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters ever. I want their signature item. And I spent like $100 on it and kept pulling, and I got like items and neither of them were hers. And I was like, yeah, fuck this game. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, that's upsetting.
Because AFK is just so big. Like it was like #1 on the App Store like last year. Like when it came out, it blew up and it got this huge audience of people that have never played it, coming from like, you know, you buy a game for $40-$60 and you play it all the way through. And then they're like, oh, well, Ukyo's $50 and like I could just go buy his game for less than that. Like, yeah, but that's not the type of game this is. And you don't need Ukyo and you don't need to spend for him. Like, I get the argument that it sucks because FTP, like that whales have a significant advantage. But that's just like that you don't need to. Like, look at this FTP chapter 35 dude. Like he's using your Iran Saf comp. He's using Thorin cheese. Like you can, there are things you can do to get around it. And there's not a single dimensional in any of his lineups. Like you just ignore it.
I mean, recently he did like slap the lean, but then like even if you can gaze as FTP, the thing with him, the reason like the case that people make usually is that guy, the way he does macros, it's like a completely different game at that point. But if your goal is like chapter 33 or 34, that you're going to obtain just with strategy and knowing what you're doing. And I think like that's endgame. Like that's endgame. That's not like the pre-version. Like, chapter 34 player, like it's a person like in terms of endgame strategy, he experienced the game. He gets to like enjoy the game to its fullest in terms of strategy. Sure, he doesn't like do the end of the end, like the #1 spots, but who said the game was meant to be played that competitively? Who said that you have like to be able to be #1 as FTP? What if you can just like have fun, discover the game? Like what if you're playing towards like improving as a person? Like that's one thing I like myself, comparing yourself to who you were yesterday instead of who somebody else is today. Like say, yo, yesterday I would never use Verk, for example, and then like trying him and seeing where he's going, just kind of improving, just discovering the game. And in that sense, it's like an exploration game because you get to try different things and just kind of have fun just doing what you do. And then there's the part of the player base, and that's significant. And I know people would laugh at me for this, but there's some people that just play this for fun. Like some people that don't want to optimize towards getting to the end game chapters. Some people just fucking like Satrana and they want to do Satrana and see where she can get. And I'm like, best of luck to you. Have fun with that. It's not my cup of tea, but I perfectly respect that, you know. So like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I'm like the oh god, I don't know the name of it. Explorer, maybe the like one of the like you have the green. Oh, here, what is it called? Adventure role in the main server because I
mm-hmm,
like back when I actually had free time, I was really active in the main server, like answering questions, helping people with lineup help, and um, they'd ask for like advice on something to do, and I would give them like the best, like most optimal advice, uh, like who should be my first stargazer? I just got to chapter 15, and I'm like, well, probably your first twins copy, first towing copy, like get your Mahira to E because Mahira is broken even at E when you start E.
mm-hmm.
And they're like, but I want to gaze Citrana, and I'm like, I mean, or like something stupid, like or like Isabella's really cute. I'm like, well, sure you can do that, but you're asking for advice on who's best to gaze. So I'm going to give you the optimal advice on who's best to gaze. If you want to play the game because that character's cute, then play it that way. That's fine. I'm just here to be optimal, right? And I'm giving advice in public forum to be optimal.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a girl who just joined my guild within like the last week or two, or no, right before AE we were recruiting. VIP 15, like big whale.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what do you spend your money on? And she just like maxes out whoever she wants to because she thinks like right now her Lucretia is like E plus, and I'm like, dude, gaze your Lucretia, she's so broken. Dropped. She spent like 3K or something, like 2,500 or something like that, and got her to ascended 9 out of 9 plus 30. And now she wants to do that for Mortis too. And I'm like,
Right.
it's like, obviously, you know, if you have the money to shit out like that, like send whoever the hell you want. It's your money. But like, I don't know. I want to play the game the way that is optimal, I guess, right? And like I started my alt account for that reason, because when we first started AFK, what the hell did we know? It was a brand new game and none of us knew what the hell we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, Isabella's good and this is good and that's good, and they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you look at my Mauler Chaos 2-star, when the hell am I ever going to use him, right? So I just made my alt account and I'm like, I'm only going to invest in like the best possible shit. And I just got like my 10th ascended hero, and it's like all your meta shit that you'd expect, like Isolde, Damon, Saf, Iran, Rowan, like the staples of the meta. And I'm not gonna, like, now that the wish list actually works, because you know when we first started playing, the wish list didn't actually work. It like gave you quote unquote better odds, but like not perfect odds.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'm just playing like the wish list is perfect. I know what to gaze. I know what to spend my diamonds on. You get so many diamonds like going through the game in the early game that like now I know what to spend it on. What furniture to get, what SIs to invest in. And like I'm not like the top of the leaderboards on that account because I know what the fuck I'm doing. And like sure, I'm not wailing on. I'm like pretty free to play. I only get monthly card and regal rewards on that account, but it's still enough to like do really well now that I know what I'm doing. So it's kind of like,
yeah,
that's the way that
if you want to compete, finding a server where people are like finding a new server and going in it with the knowledge you have now, you'll have decent to very good success. Depends on the kind of whales you compete with, but you can do really well. So if you are the kind of player that wants to play FTP and compete, it's just about optimal to just go into a server where everybody's completely new. Most of the people won't have any idea what they're doing. You'll do great, and that's perfectly fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't think it stops anybody from having fun. I think like that's the way to go if that's what you have in mind, you know?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I mean, like and especially because for a lot of the heroes that you would want to build on your main, I can just merc from my main, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess even on my main, I merc this too, but say Shamira for Evil Namora. Like, I can just merc stuff from my main if I need. Like, Telly 9 out of 9 plus 30. Like, I don't really need to build out on my alt right now because there's so much that I can just merc from my main whenever I need it. Like, so I'm just kind of saving my gazer cards and diamonds because I don't know what to merc or what to gaze yet. I got a single copy of Alna and it works better than Brutus sometimes, or she'll just die before she gets the shield. But
Yeah, I think the
She's very
foresight
good.
on that was one of the things that I like seriously helped people with. I don't know if you remember when I released the stargazing guide thing. It's one of the things that
Mhm.
got one of the most positive responses because people honestly didn't know. Like the advanced people didn't know about Alna, and these
Mhm.
beginning people had no idea what to do. Like as you said, some people gazing Mortis and the likes.
I think I was gonna like wait on Mahira Ascended and leave her at M plus 30 for a
Yeah.
little while. My Orthos is at at L, and I've never gazed for him. I just got 4 copies between Soulstones and Summons, so maybe I'll get him to A next after Zolrath. I don't know.
Hearsay. Hearsay. I love that guy. And maybe I don't know, like talking in hindsight, what I did on that guide when Alma first came, because obviously I didn't know all the synergies that she has against Godcom, for example, everything that she does, I didn't know that at the time. So what I said is that she's at least as good as being after Time Twins. Right now, I'm thinking maybe she can take even priority over them. But overall, the positioning of her is fine, and that's one thing that always happens. You know, when a new hero comes out, you always see the initial hype, right? Like even when Mortis came out, people were so hyped. Like I've heard people say, "Oh, this guy overtakes Talene, this guy overtakes Mahira, this guy's." And
Mhm.
I'm like, "All right, this is exactly the kind of thing. Like this is the reason I think people like that's my right to exist. I think in that framework because oh my god, the amount of mistakes I've seen people make. You just look at the recent pure popularity, and I thought it would be good after we like you were on that video. I remember like you saw me seeing that thing on test, but I think
Yeah.
like it came to life, and it's not any better on live. If I'm honest with you, like I took a peek at live, it's about the same, right? So it's just that I mean, maybe it's not Isabella or it's something else that's starting up there, but like the point remains the same. And you see the amount of mistakes that people make. And I thought at this point, like you see, you have people like Vulcan. Vulcan has good reach. Vulcan has a reach about 1% in the game. And 1% in the game meaning that all their guilds should be somewhat aware and all their friends should be somewhat aware because people who bring the information forward. And still, you still see people making mistakes. And I wonder why do you think that is? Like, why does that keep happening?
Bad, outdated information. Here, let's play a game. Let me look up on incognito tab, so it's not going to find any of my history. AFKArena tier list. What's the first thing that comes up?
I mean, it still, I think, has the.
AFKArena.net.
That's clever. That's clever. I think it'll still have the IP based on thing, even in incognito. It still kind of guesses.
I'm looking at this tier list, and it's a lot better than it could be. That's for sure. Like, even just a few months ago, this list was just total garbage. Like, yeah, there's your Shamira and A plus tier.
All
Like,
right, all right. There we go. I mean, yeah, I am. I mean, that tier list. I'm just looking at it. It's overall okay, but you see stuff like Ein's below a good portion of the heroes, and I'm like, dude. At that
yeah,
point, yeah.
I don't know where it might have been AFK. I'd had a tier list. Someone in my so before my main account's server, before my main account's guild master, I was in a different guild. Left that guild into my main account's guild, but I still like help run their Discord server, and because I like help pretty much build that guild.
Mm-hmm.
And someone there posted this tier list, and I just deleted it. Because I was like, nah, dude, there's some things that I can understand, but some like you put Talene below Rosa, like who wrote this? Like I thought AFK Guide was like a pretty good source of information.
I think I know the guy who manages it, but some stuff still outdates. This is another issue. This game outdates so fast. So fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible. Like the amount of tier list update videos I could make within a month, and all of them would have 10 relevant changes is just incredible. And this is both because the community has recently been so much up. Like you see people emerge, like awesome new people like Riptide, for example, come out of basically nowhere. And you see people like, I mean, even myself, like people think I'm way older than I am. I make content for 4 months now, 4 months total. And
Really?
two of those months, I didn't know how to balance audio. So I would have all the audio, all the music, completely like I would be undecipherable in terms of voice. I think so. Maybe you remember it. You're one of my OG fans, but like, um, so like this is so evolving, and all the things are just like, all right, think about it this way: 4 months ago, we didn't have furniture, we didn't have signature items. Um, yeah, the whole meta was different. Like chapter 34 was the end of the game. AE wasn't a thing. Candy Crush, nobody would fade them. I don't think anybody still fade them. Bottle of Blood, just the amount of work that's into this game. And you can see this is an invested game, and you can see they have their mind in the right place about a lot of things. Just like you say, like unlike some of those other games, it's just they know what they're doing, and that's something I really respect. And this like helps me create content. Obviously, I like the ideas you gave me earlier for a couple of videos that I can do, but it also like keeps the game so much more alive, and it's partially the reason like why it's so successful.
Yeah, they definitely like so many people like are so mad about the whole dimensional thing and how we got Joker and Queen right after Eins and Albedo ended. And I get that. That's probably like the only gripe that I would have. Obviously, for me, I'm just going to buy them with $65. I don't care. But I totally do understand the frustration of most people and how dimensional system works. I think the system is kind of broken and kind of sucks a bit. But that's like the only complaint I would have with the game to make. And other than that, Lilith and the devs listen to what people want. They like do so much for the game. Like they could just let it die. I've played so many game bases like begging, like please fix this bug, or like please this hero's like too broken, like the power creep. Like I mean, power creep's kind of a thing in this game, but like like compared to other games, like completely unreasonable, or like certain things that like, and the devs just like there's no way to like influence them. There's no kind of appeal there. Like you reach out to the customer service and it's just like outsourced. They're not speaking English and don't know what they're talking about, and it just feels like hopeless, you know. Like but Lilith listens. They really do. Like there might be a little bit with the dimensional thing where they still have some things to address, but like overall in the grand scheme of things, they really do the right thing like most of the time. I think like they wouldn't be talking about buffing Entendre if they just wanted to make the quick buck, right? Why would they care? She's been in the game for like a year now.
Yeah.
So it's like power creep, yeah, kind of sort of a thing. But like
and balancing is not easy. Balancing is not easy, especially when you appeal to the crowd. Like I talked to Lilith the other day. Like they told me that like the amount of like appealing to people after chapter 10 is not going for the majority of the crowd, and that's natural. Like naturally, most people would just try the game, do 2 chapters, say, "Look, it's not for me. Where is my Mortal Kombat? Where is my active style?" and just leave it. And I get that, but still, the amount of people that get to chapter 20 is huge, and people like obviously most of the time on this channel, like I tell people, chapter 20 is early game or mid game, but like chapter 20, that's a decent investment. Like these are people that could reach out to see content. These are people that like have tried a couple different sets. These are people like that's like you cater to more advanced audience, and the way that they do it, they're right on the money on a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, 20. It's just like you really like if you are getting into the game at this point. I think you really just need to research before you do anything, and like really try and understand what you're doing in the game, or just play the game for a couple months and then start a new account knowing what you know. Because like it's insane. Like the people, like the guild that I joined on my alt account, when my guild leader was like, "Yeah, you're like in chapter 1. I'm not going to add you." And I'm like, "That's fine. That's fine." So I joined this guild, and I joined a Discord server. Well, technically, I asked the guild leader to make a Discord server because they just used the guild chat in game. And I was like,
that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, I was like, make a Discord server, and like I helped like run it and like add everything, and I was a mod, and there were people there in like chapter 16, 17, 18 that have been playing since like January, like of last year. And I just started, I started that account on August 31st. And I made it to chapter 24 in like December.
Nice.
And it was like 3 months pretty much on the dot. I'm pretty sure I got to like chapter 24, something like that. And I just flew by all these people that have been playing the game for like 8 months. And they're like, what the fuck? How do you do that? And I'm just like, listen, one word, Damon, right? I got my Damon, as soon as I got hero, first ascended hero, Damon. First mythic hero, Rowan. First plus 30, Rowan. Like,
yeah,
you got to know what you're going for. And it's just like, they're like, I looked it up and everyone says Shamir is the best hero. And it's like, see, that's just this misinformation. And like the hero popularity that came out is just going to keep perpetuating that sentiment. Like, and even this AFK.guide, like I've shared stuff from AFK.guide in the server before. I think pretty useful information. Like they're the ones that make all of the Voyage of Wonder guides and everything like that. But this tier list, Namora is above Talene overall.
Okay.
Namora is
this is dated.
Talene is S.
It is dated. Yes, it is dated. It is dated.
It's not so you think dated? It says last update December 29th, 2020, added joke patch 1.54.
All right. Fine. You win. Okay. I was trying to be nice because I know the guy. He's a nice guy.
No, I'm sure he is. And like overall, I think he's running this site. He's paying for the hosting. I'm sure he's a great guy.
And this is why you see the hero popularity being where it is. And this is why you see even the people that get informed. Because I would anticipate if this was just favoritism, if it was all random, then you would see the top heroes being, I don't know, it would be kind of random. It'd be just kind of random going all around the place. But since you have people who try, I would anticipate it would skew towards the heroes that are better in campaign, because you would have the people who like them for favoritism, but anybody who is competitive would kind of skew the results a little bit. But you don't see that. And the reason you don't see that, I think, is just the fact that the player base is so unimaginably larger than people think. People think, okay, Vulcan, all right, he's not the most endgame oriented channel, but he has it. People think he has a reach. But the game hit 10 million people before I even started this channel. And Vulcan has 100k subscribers. Huge achievement. I fucking wish I had half that, a tenth of that. But that's 1%. That's 1%, and that's 1%, and the game is still growing. Obviously, it's a little more stale now. It's kind of stagnated because it reached a critical mass of crowds, and now it's more about getting people to pay, which is a little bit this is a sensitive topic, but that's how they make their money, or getting people to stay more. But they also did a bunch of good moves. For example, they tried to collaborate with content creators. There was a little break since a guy called Jacob. I don't know if you know about him. He used to work with content creators, and then he got laid off, I think. And then they didn't have anybody. And this is not the most hot area if you're a company. If you're a company, you're trying to min-max your investments. You're not looking to if you don't really care about the future of the game, you have virtually no reason to talk to content creators because they'll do their thing. Me, Vulcan, we would do our thing anyways, right? But supporting us or having us sponsored and stuff like that, this is a huge incentive on their end. And this is showing, even though they're a company that comes from a very different tradition, they're very different on a lot of things. They have their mind on making this game succeed on the long term. And this is something I can seriously appreciate. If there are make or break, just make an exit in 10 months or something, they'll just be yo, if you want to play Arena, all right, $1. Let's go. And community's mad, who cares? Probably the FTPs are mad. Nobody would and this is and you see this in other games, just don't see it here, and people don't appreciate it enough. I think they do a lot. And in the same vein, it's always good to hold them to the highest standard you can. It's good to expect better because that's how we see games improve. Especially recently, I've given them some feedback about having some sort of a more official channel for feedback. While that hasn't been the case, I've seen them listening more and more on different platforms. So Reddit, they listen on Reddit. They listen on Discord. They have the content creator channel, which is where Vulcan, people like that kind of pass feedback. And that just kind of went on from there. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, there's so many games that would like not care at all about like their player base in general, let alone like paying content creators to continue making content. If Vulcan had an ad recently, right? Like a promoted ad on YouTube, or like rather, AFKArena had an ad with Vulcan in it on YouTube.
Maybe I don't know. I don't really know.
I think he did, but it's still like, you know, not a lot of games would do that. They are definitely in it for the longevity, and I think especially with that, like, what was it called, Retribution or whatever, that whole movie of Zafriel and Lucretia.
Desperation, I think it was.
Desperation, that's right. They wouldn't make that if they just wanted to make a quick dollar. Like, why would they make that? They would just shit out, like, they wouldn't even consider creating that. There's no benefit to them for making that other than that makes the game look cool, right? But they're not like directly making money from that. If that catches the eye of people on like a public forum and they're like, whoa, that game looks cool, those are players, right? You're not going to get whales being like, wow, that game looks cool, I'm going to go spend $5,000. Maybe you will, but not that many.
Yeah.
You're going to catch the eye of the people that like watch anime in their free time and are like, that looks like a fun game I can play for free. So like, and they spent that, like, it looked really good. Like, they clearly spent their time and money on making that thing, and they didn't have to. And I think they're really trying to like make this whole universe a bigger thing. Like this whole Asperia, I think they're trying to make it, you know, a pretty big, like an expansive world. Like I'm sure at some point we're probably going to get a spin-off game or like, I mean, I don't know, because honestly, we kind of are getting spin-off games now in the Wondrous Pouch.
Yeah.
Candy Crush. Now we're getting Hearthstone.
Did you see? Yeah, did you see that video?
Everything in this game. But I could see them making an anime, like with how Retribution went and how like some movies are going. I could see them do it. I could see this become like a real franchise. Like they're doing really well. They definitely have their heads in the right place. Yeah. I think, Dimensional's the only problem. But
all right, Vicksin, I think this was a good podcast. I don't know if you knew this was a podcast, but thank you so much for coming.
Were you recording? Yeah, it's fine. You know, good podcast. It's literally 7 a.m. right now. When do we start this call?
Oh yeah. I like, we always, every time I call you, we have these talks. I just thought I would record one of them and post. Yeah.
No, I don't mind. That's fine. Yeah, it always happens. I remember the very first time we called, I was like, I just want like 15 minutes if you can like look over my account and give some advice. And I think it turned into like 2-3 hours of us just talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both definitely talkers.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for letting me do this.
Yeah.
All right.
Good luck making content out of it.
Peace. All right, now we can talk like normal people, like we have been all this time.
Like you tricked me into doing.
Imagine tricking a person. Like, I think I'll call it. You know, I'm gonna make it. I know how I can attract people. A hopeful, like something. The clickbait would be a hopeful list of hot takes with a fan, something like this.